Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today we are taking a deep dive in the world of Hyrox with my guest Thomas Melody. He's an online coach who specializes in training Hyrox athletes. Now, if you haven't already listened to my last episode in which I gave some context around up and coming Hyrox episodes, then I'd advise go and listen to that now so you'd have some context. Today's conversation, although many elements can be applied to training in general, will be specifically tailored towards those competing or are interested in taking up Hyrox. So if that isn't your thing, you might want to skip this one. Go and listen to one of the earlier episodes that you've maybe not listened to yet. Thomas and I discussed the rigors of Hyrox and how we connected through social media. We also unpacked some of the stations, and particularly the daunting challenge of the burpees. He shares with us some good tips on enhancing your burpee technique, because if you've ever seen his burpees online, they are absolutely flawless. So I hope you enjoy this conversation with Thomas. Thomas, do you like caffeine?
Yeah, actually, I do. Significant amounts of caffeine.
Yeah, I've had a little bit of a run-in with my caffeine addiction this morning. So
I've actually got a genuine story about that from this morning as well.
Have you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on then. You tell me your caffeine story.
I almost had an adult accident due to my high caffeine pre-workout drink.
Wow. Like,
That's where I'm
like
at.
number one or number two?
And number two with a client.
Jeez.
So imagine the horror.
So you're with a client.
I had to leave. I had to just go. I'm like, Danny, sorry, mate. You have to leave right now. Got an issue.
So
okay.
just to...
So I'm okay sharing that as long as people are okay hearing that. That's,
Yeah. Hey, we're all about vulnerability and openness. Yeah,
sharing.
I'll be honest with you. I had like a proper shit start to the day. So and this will map onto what we're talking about, but I really dislike Thursday night sessions. I don't really like evening sessions anyways, but I've seemed to have transitioned into doing late night workouts at the moment. Not late night, but just with my work schedule. Like I used to do first thing in the morning, but now it tends to be after work. And if I do, like a strength session or whatever is fine. Zone 2 is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I get into anything like Hyrox-Specific or high heart rate, it's just a lot. And I do find that if like one, I'm just like, I just don't have the energy in the evening. And two, I sleep terribly. Like even if I'm exhausted, I think it's that adrenaline spike and you've got that cortisol still like hanging around in your system and it just tends to wake me up.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
So last night I did a Hyrox tempo session, 70 minutes. I say I did it. I abandoned it at 45 minutes because I just couldn't move. Like I was doing lunges and I was like, is this in your head or are you really fatigued? And when you're like having that battle and you're like, nah, stop being a bitch. And I'm trying to push through it. And then I'm like, no, I've got nothing. And I just sort of like keeled over. Yeah, you'll have seen that loads of times as a Hyrox trainer with the sandbag and just sort of.
Yeah.
Just then
goodbye.
Yeah. I just couldn't get going again. So I was a bit gutted. So long story short, I had a late night. By the time I got to bed, and then I've got this battle at the moment with I'm trying to optimize for wake time. So just keep that the same, 6:30, 6:30, 6:30, 6:30. And if I need to, have a nap or whatever. And by the time I got to bed last night, it was pretty late. It was like 11 o'clock. And I was like, I've done a hard session. What's going to be optimal? Is it best to get up at 6:30? and then maybe have a nap. But I was already feeling a bit run down. So I stopped my rule and I got up at 8 o'clock today. But like, just, there's something about just getting up later than you normally do, where you're like, in your head, I'm going, like, I don't know. Talk to me about this out of interest. Like, what's your approach to sleep and like that sort of thing? Like, how do you optimize that side of things?
Do you know, I think I actually get asked that question a lot because, so mega quickly, I do online Hyrox coaching, but I also still do one-to-one personal training. So I'm in the gym every morning at 6 o'clock, and the guys on the bar who inevitably serve me my double espresso at 6:15, or sometimes after my first session, I'll go down at 6:45. They're like, "Oh, how do you have so much energy so early in the morning and actually so frequently?" But genuinely, I remember my first week as a personal trainer, I was absolutely leveled. And I worked for a personal training company, so I had a boss at that time. I wasn't self-employed. And I said, "Patrick, like, what is going on? Is this like the job? Like, I'm just meant to feel knackered all day?" And he went, "Well, yeah, initially, yeah, you do." So to answer your question a bit swifter, the thing that helps me is just being really disciplined with it and keeping it the same. So what you will often find is if you change it around, even if you're getting more sleep, if it's different to the norm, it ends up feeling like you've got jet lag. So you want to try and keep your sleep pattern as consistent as possible, and that just comes from a little bit of training and a little bit of effort. So before I go to sleep, I'll write down a bit of a gratitude thing. I do that every day, and sometimes it feels like you don't really believe what you're writing, but it really works for me. And I think people might hear that and go, "Oh, that's just fluff," but it really works for me. And then I'll listen to a sleep story or a meditation, and that just like I'm gone in like 3 minutes. And my girlfriend's like, "You are literally snoring before the guy even does the intro," which is often the case.
Man.
Finally, just to make sure that it absolutely happens, is magnesium before bed every day without fail.
Yeah, I'm like, so a bit of context. I'm really OCD about the whole sleep thing. So I'm like, I have everything. I literally walk around the house with a red head torch after a certain time to stop that blue light getting in. So if it's any protocol, I've done it. I've got a mattress I've got a cooling mattress. I do the hot shower or hot bath before I go to bed. I've got magnesium. I've got CBD. I've got inositol. I've got apigenin. I've got reishi mushroom, and I've got only one ashwagandha. So my sleep is on point, but where I struggle is just like that in that particular situation where I'm like, I don't know whether to drop those sessions, but it's like, it's hard because like, you want to get it in. But anyways, long story short, I think I should have still got up at 6:30 and maybe opted for a nap later on, because I think, like you say, it's like the body is like a prediction machine, isn't it? So it's constantly wanting to work out what time you're getting up, so it can like allocate those times of like deep sleep, slow wave sleep, whatever, all the different stages. But so caffeine. so this morning I was like, right, I got up a bit late and I'm like, right, I'm just gonna go at the sauna, and then there's this really great coffee spot. It's like this little stall, and it's like rocket fuel.
Great.
I'm gonna go there.
I'm into that.
And I'm like, right, okay, I get my sauna in, cold shower, right, okay. And I told you I was running a bit late, and I was like, right, let's go get this. But obviously, I would rather be late and be unprofessional and be caffeinated than uncaffeinated and on time. How ridiculous is that, by the way? So and I arrived there.
A testament that I don't share, Jason. A testament that I do not share.
No. And I got to this.
I'd rather be
this
tired and early.
Tired and early. Yeah, maybe I should optimize for that. But and I got to this place, and it's like this little stall, and it'd been booked out privately for 15 minutes. So there's like 20 people stood there, and I'm like, I just want to get an espresso.
Oh my God.
But yeah, it just made me think though, like it's so ridiculous how much I love caffeine. And yeah. But let's put that to one side. Let's talk about like how we got speaking, because I think it's quite an interesting sort of thing. And I think like a positive side of social media that you don't often see.
Yeah, I still think this is mental, by the way, but you can drop the mic on it. I still think it's crazy.
Which part of it's crazy? Just like how like far that reel went, and like, or
yeah. Well, no. Yeah, so that would make it personal. I don't even mean to make that about me. I mean, like, yeah, just like you message me going, "That's me in front of you on the reel." How fucking crazy is that?
Yeah. So for those that don't know, firstly, for those that don't do Hyrox as well, so I train and compete amateur in a thing called Hyrox, as does and Tom, you do training around that sort of thing, and basically you put a reel up at, when you were racing at Birmingham doing the farmers carries, which is where you hold is it 26 kilo, or is that pro? No, it's 26 kilo, isn't it? 2 24 kilo kettlebells. And yeah, so and in the video you're like, watch how I'm holding these kettlebells, and it's like a top tip on getting faster with your farmers carries, and you're just like flying past me while I'm doing my first Hyrox, and I'm like proper, like I was full on nasal breathing. Like I've dropped that, by the way. And yeah, and
yeah, good. It's much slower.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, but is that probably like the most sort of viral reel that you've put out there? Because it's got millions of views, hasn't it?
3.6 million. What even is that?
That's
like
mental.
I do not say that to say, oh my God, how cool am I? Like I literally, my mind is blown by how mad that's gone. Like it's a reel about farmers carries. What the F?
Well, yeah, and so I was at a social event the other day, and like a friend of a friend that I don't really know, he was like, I think I saw you the other day on my Instagram, like with some like farmers carries, and I was like, it was that guy. I was like, was it this hybrid training guy? And he was like, yeah. And he was like, oh, and I messaged so and so saying, is this your cousin? And I was like, straight away, I knew which one it was. But yeah, so I commented, didn't I? I was like, oh, that's me. And then we just got chatting. And then, interestingly enough, so I did my second Hyrox, which was at Manchester last month. And then I messaged you saying, or commented, didn't I, saying you won't be overtaking me like that again. But you weren't competing. And then I went from like, I think I was like, I don't know, I must have been like 1,000th place or something, like probably more at Birmingham. And then I was 11th in Manchester. And I just think, so I did steal your technique. And two, I think it just spurred me on a little bit, just like, oh yeah, I was going really slow there. I need to like pick it up. But, you know, besides that,
that's what it's for.
Yeah. But it's just cool, isn't it? Like that's like a really cool side of social media, where you can get a connection through something kind of random like that. And then, it's just a good, like, positive use of the platform. So,
totally agree.
I'll let you take this one. What is Hyrox?
So Hyrox comes under the category of obstacle course racing. So if you think about like Tough Mudder, that's the one that everybody knows. You do a run, have a bit of an obstacle, do another run, have a bit of an obstacle. The benefit of Hyrox is that it's all inside and there's no mud.
Mm.
The disadvantage of Hyrox is that it's really, really hard, or just requires specific training to achieve it, or to complete it. Sorry. So basically, there's a meme going round of people like me trying to explain Hyrox. So I'm going to condense it by saying that there is a run in between each of these things. I'm just going to say the things. If listeners can just take into account that there is always a run.
Mm.
So it's a 1,000-meter run and then something. So let's roll with that. So the first station is 1,000-meter ski. So the ski erg is like an upright rower. There's then a 50-meter sled push. At varying weights, just depends on the division that you're in. There's either a pro division or an open division. That insinuates, in fact, that the open division is easy. It is not easy. It's still challenging. You've then got a 50-meter sled pull with a rope. Possibly the most difficult station is next, which is an 80-meter burpee broad jump. I'm sure everyone has done a HIIT class and done a burpee in a HIIT class. This is like burpees on steroids. You just do a burpee, then you jump forward. Absolutely hanging. For 80 meters, which is anything upwards of 40 burpees in total. The middle section, there's only 8 stations. So then the middle section then is the rower. So it's a 1,000-meter row. This is the opportunity for a lot of participants to kind of take a break, take a seat, go a little slower, get the heart rate down. That's what I coach anyway. Then we've got the farmer's carry station, as per our real chat. That's 200-meter farmer's carry. Just get the kettlebells, walk as fast as you can, or run as fast as you can if you can run with them. 100 meters of lunges with a sandbag on your back. And then the final station is the one that defines Hyrox probably, is the 100 wall balls at the end, or if you're in the female division, 75 wall balls at the end, which is more a mental thing than anything. The ball isn't that heavy. If anyone does it in the gym, or there's any CrossFitters, listening, they'll routinely do, wall balls in sessions and go, oh, wall balls are easy. Well, they are, ish, until you've got to do 100 at the end of an 8K total run and all those events. And then finally, I suppose the final thing would be that the average finishing time is around 90 minutes for the Hyrox. So what's really good is it kind of falls into that endurance sport kind of element. But the reason why it's gotten so mental is that genuinely everyone can do the movements. I've got a client in America, Joe. He's 63 years old. He's had 2 knee replacements and he's doing 2 Hyrox this year.
That's awesome.
It's just like, that's what's great about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it falls into, other than the burpees, possibly, like it's all functional. It's fairly functional, isn't it? Those sled pushes.
Anyone can do the movements.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of those stations. We'll double click on a few of them. So you mentioned burpees as being the most minging. Now, there is also a video that you put up of you doing beautiful burpees. They look so smooth and effortless, and like you're just gliding through fucking butter. And funny enough, you're overtaking someone else from my gym.
You're joking.
Yeah, did you not see that? Yeah, it's a guy called Mark.
No.
And you're just flying past him. And they're like his hardest station. So he has some back issues, so he has to do a press up. So he has to do like a press up and a step up. So to be able to, basically do them. But obviously that's a lot more work. In a weird way. So sort of top tips for burpees. Like I've just changed my approach, and I don't know if it's wrong. I don't know if I've done it too soon or I've not trained for it correctly. So in our gym, we sort of encouraged to do the sort of step up approach because it's like conserves a bit more energy. but I noticed I was getting a bit of tension in my
That's true.
hamstring.
It does.
So I wanted to sort of change. So I started looking at Hunter Mac. So Hunter McIntyre, for anyone who doesn't know, is the world record holder, and he's the GOAT of the sport. And he does like this, like sort of frog jump forward, which is kind of similar to yours, I think. And I guess it's like about staying
in
low.
fairness, I stole it off Hunter and just started playing with it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And it's about, rather than sort of standing up and doing this big leap forward, you're sort of keeping your body low to the ground, right? And then sort of just allowing a bit of momentum to sort of leapfrog you forward on it each one. So talk to me about burpees. Like, what are some of the, like, the longest levers, the highest leverage sort of things that you can do to improve that?
So from like a training perspective, like how would someone improve their burpee
like
station?
if it's sort of conditioning or even just on a Hyrox, you know, like what are some tips?
Sure. Okay, we'll go both. We'll go training method first. I think my overall approach, by the way, is like always to keep things really simple. You might get that from the page. Like I think trainers can often kind of make things seem way more complicated than they actually are. And honestly, it's just doing them. I think there's probably three things: technique, avoidance, and then maybe not training them in the right way, which causes the burpee station to be more difficult than it should be. Outside of injury, of course. Like, for example, your friend in the gym, there's nothing you can do about that, and that's really unfortunate. But imagining that you don't have an injury and you just want to get better at them, there's a really good session that I put together on my program for clients, and basically it's interval training. But the point being that you try and do, say, 50 meters of burpee broad jumps absolutely as fast as you can, straight from the off.
During
and
training.
Then you get a rest. Yeah, well, this is the session. Yeah. So after you warm up, you would do 50 meters of burpee broad jumps, take a minute, and then do, for example, lunges. Just do something completely different. So do a lunge station, take a minute, maybe do a sled push, take 2 minutes, and then repeat that 3 times. But the whole point is that you're trying to go as fast as you possibly can. So for anyone listening to that, going, oh, you know, where do I even begin with that kind of session? Just pick 3 things that you're not good at. So if it's wall balls, burpees, and sleds, just go 50 wall balls, 50 meters of burpee broad jumps, and 50 meter sled push.
And what was that? 1 minute in between, and then a 2-minute break before the next round, did you say?
Yeah.
And repeat
absolutely.
that how many times?
So the reason why this is 3.
Do you know that is so simple?
The reason why it's so effective is
pick your 3 workstations and do that. Yeah.
So simple. Yeah, but crucially, and not to be like super scientific about it, do them as fast as you can. And here's the deal, because we all know that we get to the burpee station and mentally it starts to fuck with us a little bit. And you go, oh my God, this is the hardest bit. My heart rate's going to get jacked up. Maybe having a jacked up heart rate doesn't make you feel that good, or it unduly kind of gets to you. You go, shit, my heart rate's really high. This doesn't feel comfortable. I need to slow down. None of that is true. None of that is true. Keep going. And the reason why this session is so good is it trains you to be in an uncomfortable position. So come race day, you don't hate being in that position because you've had months and months and months of training like this.
Yeah, conditioning for that, that intensity.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, that's... yeah, it's a good one.
Great.
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Cool. And then which with the technique element, so I'd absolutely do what you've done, and your gym have absolutely recommended the right method. Like the step-in method, hands down, saves you heart rate, energy, and all that kind of stuff. And actually, you could argue that if you've got enough energy to do your next run after the burpees at a really good rate, whatever that rate is for you, that's more important than trying to shave off 30 seconds in your burpee station. You don't want to do a really fast burpee station and then your next run pay for it. Like that's not a good race strategy for anyone. That being said, what might be a good way to get good at them is to do the slightly more challenging version, which is the 2-footed jump, where you kind of bring both feet in together and then jump. Do that in training and then maybe dial back in a competition, because then it'll feel really easy.
Yeah, do you know, like I've had a few tough weeks of training, to be honest. And as you're talking, I'm going, hold on a minute. Every time I've struggled in training, I'm pretty sure I've been trying these new burpees out. Apart from the first time I did them, but I did them as a finisher. And I think I was buzzing because I quite like the new technique. And then I was like, oh, that's easy. Like, oh yeah, I can fly through them. And then I've gone to put them in with other training things, and then I've just been gassed. So yeah, interesting. I wonder if that's what's taking it out of me. You know, maybe it's a bit too much.
It's not too much. It's just a different stimulus.
Yeah, I suppose it's almost a completely different movement to like the step up, because
So we all work hard in the gym, right? And if you sign up for a Hyrox, chances are you're already in the top 5% of motivated people in the world. Seriously, like it's that hard. And I put anything, like if you do a marathon, you're in that percentage. If you do a tough mudder, that's the long one, you're in that percentage. I don't mean to like knock any other sport, you know.
Sure, yeah.
But like if you sign up for a Hyrox, chances are you're a motivated person. All of that being said, a lot of my coaching and what I'd kind of stress to people right now is, notwithstanding your current hard work, it might be really useful just to check every now and again, like, am I really pushing this? And what a lot of people do is they kind of go like hard all the time, when actually that just leads to kind of going 75% all the time.
Yeah.
So really what you want to try and do is pick and choose between those sessions that you can really give it some shit and ones where you really need to dial back, because that's what's better for that session.
Yeah.
You don't need to go ham all the time.
Yeah, 100%. I think getting that balance right is key. And I mean, at the moment I'm technically off plan, but I'm sort of like, so I was with Matty Green, who's the owner of Cumbria Strength and Conditioning. Shout out to Matty. Has been absolutely amazing for me. So I did a 6-month plan with him leading up to Manchester. But in between that thing, I started getting excited about Hyroxes, and I was like, oh, I'm going to book one for March, which is a month after my plan ended. So I did, I got my goal. I did an amazing time. I took 17 minutes off my time. And then I had a month to, and I'm doing pro at Glasgow, which is next weekend for anyone listening. So, and it was basically, Matty was like, well, I'll leave the plan open for you, and you can just basically copy paste the last 4 weeks and just do it again. But like, I'm technically not on plan.
That's good of it.
And it's kind of like, so it's not the same. Like, it is the same, but not. Like, I don't have that same sort of support. And in my head, I'm thinking, is this the right thing? Should I be doing this? Like, and I think that's one thing I've noticed, and whether it's in my head or not, is I need to plan my year out better and go, like, okay, I'm going to do like some Hyroxes, I'm going to build up to this, and then I'm going to have time off or whatever. So I wanted to know, what's your thoughts on periodization, training blocks, how long to train for Hyrox for, how long to take off, what is taking time off, what's the best thing to do off season? I know I'd give you like 6 questions there, but
I've got that. You've got periodization, off season, training for Hyrox. 3 major topics.
Just like
that's cool.
Year round, so, kind of big picture.
Yeah, sure. So I I really don't think that you need to do Hyrox-specific stuff prior to 12 weeks out from competition.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the first one. That being said, and I was honestly going to say it before you asked me this question, but I'll say it anyway. That being said, I would work with a coach for as long as you can afford to. And if that's all year, then amazing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, so they can manage you through that periodization process.
Yes.
So for example, if you're in an off-season phase, one of my clients, Graham, comes to mind. I've trained Graham for just over a year, and this will be coming up to our second Hyrox. So I trained him through the summer for Birmingham in October last year, and then it'll be coming up to Glasgow in March. But between Christmas and literally probably the 1st of January, November, December, all we did was lift weights and a little bit of running just to keep his legs ticking over and keep his fitness up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's something
So for anyone wondering what to do coming out of competition, it'd be strength.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, like Hunter Mackey, what does he say? He runs, doesn't he? He runs in the hills all off season apparently, because he lives on top of a mountain. Do you think?
He does, yeah.
And on that, would you say that that would be a good strategy? Off season. So let's just assume that we're going to be racing in October, Birmingham, and maybe doing Manchester in January. So kind of winter is the sort of season in the UK, I guess.
Yeah.
So summer, would you say just like strength blocks, and you said a little bit of running? Would you not recommend like long distance running, getting out, maybe doing some marathons, or just lots of zone 2? What are your thoughts on that?
So what I'd probably recommend, to be completely honest, is, because some people might not really know what a strength block is, but you've got obviously so many things just wrapped into that on its own, right? So say that we've got July and August, I would periodize that block as well. So I'd probably start with something called body composition training, which is a combination of upper body and lower body in the same session. And that's just good to hit big muscle groups. It gives you an opportunity to have short rest periods. It's kind of circuit based if you were to see someone like in a gym doing a typical session like that, but really it's lifting weights, so your heart rate doesn't ever get above 120. Really. And you're keeping balanced. After about 4 weeks, I'd probably look at a split. So an upper body, genuinely in arms, because we do need to work them, and a lower body split. Probably doing 2 of those a week. So that's 6 sessions. If you're really desperate, you could do some intervals afterwards, like if you really wanted to. But regarding cardio, mix it up. There's so much running involved with Hyrox, and there's so much volume that you've got to put in closer to the competition, that during the summer, if we're talking about the UK, go out on your bike, do long runs, no problem, but they need to be easy. They need to be kind of as low impact as possible. I know that sounds stupid given that you're on your feet, but just nothing too physiologically demanding. And then about 16 weeks out from competition, you can start to put in things like tempo runs, which are kind of higher heart rate runs, like a 5K or a 10K. You can start to put in interval work, and then you can start to take out strength sessions and insert Hyrox sessions. So a Hyrox session doesn't have to be killing yourself for 16 weeks, but you might just do sled pushes and sled pulls. Now, for me, that is still a strength session. Just load it up with loads of weight and see how fast you can move it. Just put double race weight on, for argument's sake, But then as you get closer and closer, so say that you get to within 8 weeks, given that a Hyrox race has you in what's called the lactate threshold zone for so long, that's when you need to start doing lactate work, and that's usually 160 and above heart rate work, and that's what I would include the majority of the time in probably an 8-week plan. And I know we've kind of skimmed over that really, but that's probably just building that base, kind of over the summer, for argument's sake, is exactly why I don't always recommend just doing 8 weeks. And I get this all the time from potential clients. It's like, okay, well, I'll call you in a few weeks when I'm close to the race. I'm like, no, like, yeah, I don't mean this in like a salesy way. Like, you sign up whenever you want, but like, really, if you want to get a good time, you need as long as possible. Like, you need to have your process managed the whole year, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, this is something I sort of realized was, just because you sign up with a coach doesn't mean that as soon as you press sign up, you're hammering it for 6-7 days a week. Like, a good coach will sit down, will address the goal and go, okay, well, yeah, you're signing up for a year with me. 2 months of this might be like completely free time or, fairly managed. And that's something that I actually think you probably need a coach right after a Hyrox, because I think what is the common sort of approach, or this can obviously map to any competition where there's a big event at the end of it or whatever, but it's like, okay, you lead up, like build up lots of training, do the event. Hopefully you've done amazing, maybe you've not done amazing, whatever, but there's this huge stimulus, and then it's take some time off. And then you go, what the fuck am I going to do?
Yeah, what do I do now? Like,
that's what I was like after Manchester. A week off? What the fuck am I supposed to do? Like, all my life for the last 6 months has been training. And then you're just like, and especially like if you're in my situation, like I'm single, I live on my own, like my life is going to the gym. So then all of a sudden you get this like huge dopamine drop from like post event, and you feel like you've been on the sesh or something for like 3 days. And so I think that period afterwards, like anyone who's listening who is competing in Hyrox or anything like that, like one of the things I did was I would visualize my race. So I visualize my race, I visualize my time. I'm getting my sub at 1:15, and I did all that. But what I didn't visualize is I didn't visualize afterwards. What the fuck am I going to do afterwards? So, and that was basically like Red Bull, WhatsApp group, like driving home really tired, like getting home and like just eating shit, and like, and I probably should have visualized that part of it. Like, what am I going to do after the race? Really, what am I going to do? And that week having it planned out
that
with
makes
it
total sense.
Yeah, like, I do think there's certain element of hand holding that you need, and if you don't have a trainer, I suppose you can hold your own hand by having it planned out. Like, okay, on the Sunday I'm going to go out and get a big walk in, or get some fresh air, or go see some family, but it's I do feel conflicted at times with Hyrox, because like most people get into the gym and get into this sort of thing for like longevity, and like, that's certainly one of my goals. That's probably my primarily goal. And then when it gets to like the week before a Hyrox, and then after the event, I'm like, is this healthy? Like, it feels kind of a bit much. Do you know what I mean?
Do you feel like that? Is that how you feel? Yeah.
I feel like just like the adrenal response and everything. I certainly feel in those 2 weeks surrounding an event, I'm like, I don't know.
Still here, by the way. My phone's dying.
Oh, you all right? Take your time. Yeah, I don't know if it's the most healthy thing, in all honesty, but I get so much from it as a whole package. Training for Hyrox, the community at the gym, that 100% is a net positive. But in a weird way, like,
is. Can I pull you up on one of those points?
Of course. Actually?
So, yes, I've got a phone battery back in the game. So I think just referring to that, because I feel like that might resonate with quite a lot of people. That's why I wouldn't mind picking up on it. I think that is part of that periodization thing, and understanding that you're deliberately overtraining for X being a Hyrox or a 10K or a half marathon or a marathon or a Tough Mudder or whatever it is. Overtraining and not feeling that amazing, because you don't feel that amazing when you're overtraining, is absolutely necessary, right? Like, it just is. You need to push yourself, taper, and then you feel great on race day because you've built up you've accrued all this volume in your body. But taking a rest period is all part of it, and I think we all would benefit from what I call reframing rest. So there's a great equation that I've not made up, by the way. I got it from a book called Peak Performance, and it's stress plus rest equals growth. So ultimately, we're on this journey for overall growth and development and increasing your fitness. So you've taken 17 minutes off your Hyrox. That is a way that you quantify your fitness growth. But you then want to go for the next bit. Well, part of going for the next bit is taking a break right now. Well, not now, but you know what I'm saying? Like, after competition, that's part of it as well. Take a break, get some ice baths, get a massage, go on a bike ride rather than smashing yourself at an EMOM or an AMRAP or something mental. You know, just change what you're doing, change your stimulus, you know? But you got to reframe rest, because it's completely necessary.
Yeah. So on that, what would you say, how long should someone take off after a Hyrox?
I think it depends on how you feel. So burnout represents itself in two ways, doesn't it? Mentally, as in, I can't be arsed going to the gym all of a sudden. That's burnout. You don't feel enthusiastic about the thing that you're doing. And how terrible would it be for you to spend 6 months or a year of your life creating friends in a gym, training twice a day if that's what you've got time for, like, you know, throwing the kitchen sink at it, to then have the negative effects of burnout and not want to go back to it. Because that's the worst case scenario, is actually you feel so burnt out from a competition you don't want to touch it again. So honestly, not to give it a grey area, I'd have at least a week. Have a fixed week where you do absolutely jack shit. Okay, you need it. That's fact. Go and get some sauna treatments. Go and get a massage. Chill. Sleep in, because a lot of people I know wake up early morning for the gym. And then just take a view. Like, take a view after a week and say, okay, how do I feel? Do I feel pumped about this? Do I want to book another one? Do I not? If you don't, recognise that. But it'd be really important to deliberately switch up your training at that point. So what I do is I dial it right back, where I don't do any running. I go out on the bike, or I lift some weights. And I might do like an EMOM, for example, because I quite enjoy that style. Specifically, I enjoy EMOMs. So, and I don't actually put them in a lot when I'm training for a Hyrox, because they just don't work. So, like, there's no point. So I quite like doing training that I enjoy, and change the movements. I might do like a bit of power cleaning. I might do some box jumps. I might do like more CrossFit stuff, you know, because that's just what I enjoy. And I would just deliberately switch it up and give your brain a break.
Extremely non-specific rather than specific, which is, you know, 4 weeks before. For anyone who's listening, an EMOM
and again,
is every minute on the minute.
Oh yeah, go on, sorry. Yeah. Anyone doesn't know that.
Sorry, I interrupted you there.
No, you're good. I don't know what I was saying. I think it's just important to take a view and just like think how you feel after a competition. So like, after a competition, depending on the time, personally, I feel like I want to go and do another one. But there was a Birmingham event. It would have been a year ago. I got an hour and 7, and to achieve the hour and 7, I genuinely threw the kitchen sink at that. Like, I trained all summer. Similar periodization to what we just discussed, not to be hypocritical, but I was doing a lot of running. You know, going out and doing a half marathon would be routine on a Sunday. Like, I wouldn't even blink at doing a half marathon every Sunday. And that represented a basically 30-minute improvement on my first Hyrox to my second one.
Wow.
And
30?
I didn't want to touch it after that. 3-0, yeah. My first one was an hour and 36, and my second one was an hour and 7.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. Mental. Just the joys of period. Like, the joys of specificity. Like I just threw the kitchen sink at it and like did things specific for Hyrox.
Yeah.
And this is how I know so much now about, you know, that's why CrossFit doesn't transfer, for example. Like people are fit who do CrossFit, but it has no transference to Hyrox whatsoever.
Yeah, absolutely. So you did 107. That was at Birmingham.
A year ago. So not the one just gone, a year before that.
Oh, okay. And what's your sort of goals? Are you moving up to pro? What's like, talk to me about your Hyrox sort of background and everything, because we haven't really covered that.
Yeah, sure. So I started like anybody else. I didn't know about Hyrox actually at all. My mate, I've got this group, this WhatsApp group called the Committed Group, and one of my best mates, Luke, started it, and it was just to get us all together. And actually, I've just latched onto his friendship group. In fairness, they're a great group of lads, but really, I'm there for Luke.
That's cool.
And we just do like mad shit. So we just decided to do the Yorkshire Three Peaks one weekend with no training. And Hyrox was the next one. I think it was Luke's idea. We all picked one, and mine might have been the Manchester 10K one year. So it comes up, and because I'm a trainer, absolutely banter. I just think, oh, how hard can that be? I've always been good at running. I know how to do a sled push. Piss this. Anyway, I signed up for the pro division in that race, and literally couldn't have been more wrong. If I didn't have my mates and my clients watching, and my girlfriend stood there staring at me going, "Go, Tom," and I quit after the sled push, I reckon.
So your first one was pro?
Yeah.
Maniac.
I just thought, fuck it.
So what was your time?
1 hour 36.
Right. Sorry. So did you do 107 in pro the following year?
No, 107 in the open.
Yeah. Right. Got you. Yeah.
Yeah, 107 open. So that then kind of kick-started a journey of, you know, you could look at that one or two ways. I could have quit and just not bothered ever again with Hyrox. From such, honestly, an embarrassing experience. Like I was not happy with that at all. And not so much about the time. Like I understand, go to your first Hyrox, and I tell people this: don't care about your time.
Yeah.
It was about how it felt, and I knew that I knew I could do better.
Yeah.
For sure. So I just decided to throw myself into it and learn about the sport, learn about the stimulus, learn about more about heart rate training, because I've always been a runner, so actually that kind of stuff is actually relatively easy and in my knowledge base. But learn about compromise running, and also just developing a truly specific program for that, which I've played around with obviously over the last 2 years now. But I've got quite a cool formula. Like one of my clients is going to the World Championships this year, which is really great for him. And you know, like knocking 10 or 15 minutes off your PB is quite normal now for clients to do, which makes me feel really good.
That's awesome.
But then just on a personal note, like my goal is to do a sub 60 open category this year, and I want to go to the World Championships. And I think that doing a sub 60 open is essential, actually. Like that's like the bare minimum.
Yeah, it seems that the standard is creeping up. I guess as the sport grows, more and more people are getting into it. So you're getting like more of these like ringer guys who are probably coming out of like ex-rugby players and stuff like that. There's a lot of sort of ex-professional athletes that get into it, isn't there?
Yeah, that's good though. I mean, it makes it more competitive. I quite like that it's competitive. I like the fact that I've got to do something that pushes myself out of my comfort zone. Like that is enjoyable to me. And I also like the fact, so the Birmingham one that we just did was also a race strategy disaster. Like that, I had the fitness probably to probably repeat 1 hour and 7, or maybe go a little quicker, but the whole strategy was completely wrong.
Right.
Which then, you know, that's the argument I tell clients as well, and I tell anyone really, is you can't beat race experience. So a lot of the elite guys are just doing race after race after race after race. And that's where they start to hone in on where they can go faster, where they can go slower. So in last year's Birmingham one, I thought, oh, I'll go a bit slower on the erg to go a bit faster on the run.
Okay.
Which just didn't work
right.
at all. And I found myself getting off. So this will be, if anyone knows, like they'll go, oh my God, that's crazy. But I got off the row with a heart rate of like 130.
Right.
Which is like stupidly low.
Yeah.
Like it should be like 160 really if you're trying hard. Like 130, you're going out for a jog.
Yeah.
And I just completely just fucked it up.
Yeah.
So that I had a word with myself as well and thought.
Yeah, it's a bit of a meme, that, isn't it? Like people chilling on the rower. Yeah, don't get me started on the rower.
It's not a thing anymore. Okay.
I don't know if you saw my Instagram post the other day, but I'm basically I'm having to start from scratch to learn it all again. I really learned how to row, and it's like taking a step back to go forward, and it's really difficult. And I'm still I've been working on this new the proper technique for like 4 or 5 weeks, and I'm slower than I was when I had shit form, and it's difficult to swallow. Do you know what I mean? Because I used to be fine, and I'd go pretty fast, and then I was like, I'm quite good at rowing. And then Matty sort of pulled me up, and he was like,
was it wildly inefficient though?
I presume so. Yeah, Matty just pulled me up on it, and he was like, I need you to have a look at your row. You know, just classic stuff. Well, I wasn't using my legs, I don't think. Like, really using my legs. You know, I think I've always just, you get on it and you just pull it. You know, because like, if you're not taught how to use a row from the start, it's not really a natural movement.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So like, I'm trying to get it in my head now.
That's
like, it's
a
bit more like a deadlift, isn't it? Like, kind of pushing away the machine. And I have to admit, I've still not quite got it. And every time I do it, I can do it, but it's like, it's like dead robotic. So yeah, but it's all part of the fun.
That's like running though, isn't it? That's like working on running form. Like, for the sake of a workout, you could do that for the first 5 minutes and then use your other form just to get through the workout a bit quicker.
Yeah.
So, that's dead similar to using the strides technique when you're warming up for a run, for like a track session. So strides teach you to be more efficient. You take slightly literally longer strides than you normally would. Working on changing your foot placement and improving that and improving your gait. But then really, when you're absolutely knackered doing an 800-meter interval, you're not going to stick to that, but you're just teaching yourself over time. So that might be like a really simple way for you to analyze that and go, well, you don't have to stick to this permanently. If you want to just get a certain stimulus out in a session and just go mental in the session, that's fine. Just do what you want. But then for the warm up and the cool down, maybe go back to learning this proper technique, and over time it'll accrue in your head.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Good strategy. Yeah, I might try and implement that. So, do you just do Hyrox training, or like, talk to me a bit more about your programming?
Yeah, sure. So actually, no, is a really quick answer to that. I do hybrid training. So that's for more, I suppose, clients that are looking for like a coach over a longer period. Again, as we mentioned, I genuinely do recommend having a coach regardless. It's not often an affordability thing. It's just often that people just don't realize that actually that's what they need. And so hybrid training for me is great because it's just, fundamentally not boring. You've got obviously mixed modality. Like, a few of my female clients want to be able to run, but they also want to be able to lift stuff, and they want to also look good, and they want to grow their bum and all that kind of stuff. So, and my male clients want to look good for the summer, and they want to be able to pick up their kids and run around playing football. And if all you're doing is weightlifting, well, that's fine. You might look good, but then you're cardiovascularly not that fit, and you're aging faster than you should. So there's so many positives to hybrid training. And then obviously Hyrox coaching is probably about 45% of my business, but mainly it's hybrid training and just using those principles and just helping people throughout the whole year. And then also nutrition coaching and supplementation coaching, mindset coaching. And then of course I've got my one-to-one personal training, which is genuinely completely different. Like I've got a great bunch of clients and they don't necessarily want to achieve anything specific. They just want to get in the gym and they want to just do something in the gym, and they need my accountability and me physically being there to help them with that.
Right, that's awesome. So, and what's your sort of split to like in person and online?
I have absolutely no balance. So this isn't a healthy approach. I've got a ridiculously busy one-to-one in-person diary.
Yeah.
And now a ridiculously busy online coaching kind of diary.
Yeah.
I just do both.
Yeah.
So it just involves working from 5 a.m. till 10 p.m. and squeezing in workouts where I can. Just about to hire a coach actually on that basis because it's getting so busy. I've got a like a PA that does all my call booking and my messaging and all that kind of stuff. And that really helps. That's essential really to help me out. But it's going really well. It's crazy because it seemed honestly for a while like the online stuff just wasn't working. Mm-hmm. And probably about 4 months ago, I was going to stop it entirely. And I was just thinking I wasn't getting anywhere. For all the time it was taking me, I wasn't getting anywhere at all.
What changed?
And what I decided to double down on my efforts rather than stop. I just did more, and that sounds so simplistic, and I don't mean for it to come across like that. I just so for example, instead of sending 10 DMs a day, I'd send 50. Instead of doing one post every other day, I'd do 2 posts a day.
Yeah.
Just deliver more value instead of keeping asking for, oh, hey, book a call here and do this here. And, oh, hey, have you thought about a coach? No, don't bother with that. Just deliver more value, way more value, deliver some more value, and then pull from that. It's called pulling from the trust bucket. Like people need trust, and you've got to be seen to be giving something. You can't just keep asking. I think a lot of coaches get that wrong.
Yeah. So
I did a launch yesterday, but I've not done a launch probably in 6 months. And I think my following's doubled in 6 months. So now these are people that are really invested in what I'm posting, the information that I'm receiving. Hopefully they enjoy it. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And just being sincere about that on social media. Like I actually genuinely want to help people with their training. If they want to hit me up and have coaching, then fine.
Yeah.
Like that's great, but it's not the primary reason why I'm there.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I think obviously it's if you're sort of if you're sort of like self-employed or like a bit type A, like we probably both are, that you probably come across this stuff a lot of the time, but it sounds somewhat cliche, but it is important, deliver value, and that can come in varying forms, can it? So there's doing it online and producing reels and stuff like that, but also like for me at the start of the year, I basically like put a call out to people on my Instagram channel about starting like a WhatsApp group around like accountability and goals and stuff. So like, and it's totally free because it's just I'm just doing I need people to help me hold me accountable, and it's just blossomed into this like fucking awesome little community of like I think we've got maybe like 10 to 15 people in my network, kind of random. Some people local, some people aren't, and we just kind of like keep each other accountable. And actually, the podcast is part of it. Getting my episodes out and stuff like that. And I can already see that paying dividends to me, just through like a little bit of like generosity. Like I'm starting this group, and which is also kind of selfish because I want the group to help me, and I can like offer tips on,
Right.
people like to ask me about like nutrition and stuff because I geek out and stuff. So, and I'm like, oh yeah, like it's not my job, but like I'll help you with it, and it's like a really nice way to just do it voluntarily. And you do like, it does seem like I'm getting more back. I'm getting like sort of slightly more, I'm strengthening like those weaker relationships, like people like in your vicinity, and and then you start talking to them more, and then it's like everything sort of just starts to like, feed into each other. And I think, network effects, isn't it? And I certainly see this.
Yeah, it totally is. Yeah, it totally is.
With the podcast as well. Like, that's just through. I mean, I think this might be the 10th episode I've done. I've got a bit of a backlog on publishing, but I am like actually after Glasgow, I'm going to be publishing loads, because I've just been focused on Hyrox. But what I've seen, like just since I've started, the conversations I have just turned into some amazing relationships, strengthened relationships. I actually, had I not started the podcast, I don't believe I'd be into Hyrox. So, literally, it's like had this snowball effect for me and changed my life. And but for anyone listening or whatever, it's just like, yeah, focus on your network, and in whatever way that may be, whether it's doing it how you do it or.
Well, just to jump on the end of that, I think the thing is giving without expecting. So, the way that I articulate that is I just gave more back. I was getting so annoyed that I wasn't getting clients signed up, and I wasn't earning this, and I wasn't doing that. And actually, you're forgetting the point. And firstly, to anyone starting a business, Rome wasn't built in a day. Like, if I think back to how long it took me to make any actual money from personal training that's worthwhile speaking about, whether I'm not living at home with my mum, trying to run a Honda Civic, probably took 5 years. 5 years. Like, it's mental. Like, and I'm getting annoyed that my online fitness business isn't blowing up and doubling my income in 10 months.
Yeah.
So you've just got to take a step back every now and again and stop being so selfish. Like, it's really easy to be selfish because you think, I've got these goals and why am I not achieving this?
Yeah.
But it's not the point. I changed the point, and that's when, similar to your WhatsApp group and what it's enabled, what it's given you in the end, is you literally give back and you get given back. It's as simple as that, and that's what it's for. Like, this launch this week, it's probably been the biggest launch that I've done. I think I've done 3 since I started kind of the page. It's been by miles the biggest one, and it's because I've front loaded the value prior to the launch. Like, put loads of free workouts out there. There's a workout of the week, there's a run club, there's a free webinar, there's free value calls. So people book in calls just to talk about Hyrox, so that's completely great, and I like that. That's absolutely what it's there for. And then eventually you say, hey, look, I've got spaces opened up, and people go, okay, great, why not?
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm providing even more value here on this call with me, so appreciate that. Tell me,
well, there you go. Yeah, that's what it's all about. Yeah,
we're sort of running out of time, so tell me a little bit about your launch or whatever. Tell me about your offer. Like, promote the hell out your page. Tell me what's going on.
Oh, hey, thanks. So, if anybody wants to have any hybrid / Hyrox fitness tips, it's Hybrid Training 365. That's the Instagram page. That's the kind of the way I'm most busy. I do have a Facebook page and I do share it, but really it's just Instagram. So regarding the offer, it's one-to-one coaching. So it is one-to-one hybrid and Hyrox coaching. If it's Hyrox-specific, that literally comes with a money-back guarantee. I will tell you within 1 or 2 minutes of what your completion time is going to be if you train with me. If you do not hit that, money back.
Wow.
No questions asked.
That's awesome.
I've got 5-star reviews all over the place. Yeah, well, because it works.
Yeah.
That's why. I'm kidding. That was like joke energy, but it does work. And if anybody does honestly want to book a call, he's got to find me a DM. Just say, hey, can I find out more about coaching, and I can run you through it. I think the other thing is that and you might have seen this being in the, being into Hyrox and things like that. There's so many coaches that, and I'm not knocking them, by the way. If they want to deliver that, that's great. But there's so many coaches that just deliver kind of like ready-made plans, and that's cool. But this really is one-to-one coaching. It's like, if you have 3 days a week, I'll plan for 3 days a week. If you've got 6 days a week, I'll plan for 6 days a week. You know, it's written for you, your sleep schedule, your nutrition schedule, your supplements, your kids, your work, your girlfriend, like your husband. It's written for your life, and then just split around it to maximize your time. That's probably the best way I'd explain it.
Awesome. Sounds good, man. So what's next for you? What have you got coming up? What's any goals?
Great question. Yeah, actually. So fitness wise, Hyrox Malaga in April. That's a bit of a tune up. I had 6 weeks off with a hernia operation, so I'm still getting my fitness back. But the big dog event is Hyrox London sub 60. That's the goal with that one. Plus all the heavies will be there from the UK, right, and I want to go beat them. I don't normally talk like that, but I feel like I've got to be honest with you, to kind of, put a rod up my
sound like Manchester's Hunter Mac.
And then, hey, listen, that'd be mint, actually. If I could be, that'd be great. Hey, listen, I thought that when I got to like 10,000 followers, I'd just have Nike like drop into my DMs and say, "Hey, can we sponsor you?" And that's not happened, Jay. So I don't know what's going on there.
Really, what a shame.
I'm, anyone, frankly, I'll take any sponsorship right now. Any electrolyte brand, sponsor me.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see what we can do. Hopefully we'll have maybe the guys at Element or Bulk will be listening to the podcast. Who knows? Hey,
listen, I honestly thought I'd become like a minor local celebrity when I got to 10,000 followers, and guess what? That did not happen. And I think I got about 4 likes on my post. So keep going. That's the lesson. Keep going. Keep plugging away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's all about the journey, man. Just keep going.
I know. I'm just kidding. I don't really care. It doesn't really matter. Messing about.
Well, listen, man, I really appreciate your time. I've enjoyed this conversation, and I appreciate all the tips and stuff. There's some stuff that I'm going to implement right away. And we'll have to do something in person, a session sometime or whatever. And appreciate it, man.
All good. Had a great time. Cheers, Jay.
All right, Tom. Have a good day, man.